Welcome to Medieval History Channel 97, where the echoes of the past come alive. Step into the world of knights, castles, and forgotten legends as we journey through time together. Let history speak. Leonardo da Vinci was not only a great painter, but also a scientist, engineer, architect, anatomist, inventor, and philosopher. He is considered a symbol of the Renaissance's comprehensiveness, the era that sparked an explosion of art, science, and human thought. Born in 1452 in the small village of Vinci in Italy, coming from a rather special background, an illegitimate child, Leonardo established his name through extraordinary talent and an unceasing curiosity about the world around him. Early days, learning from nature, surpassing his master. Leonardo was born on April 15, 1452, in a small rural area of Vinci, central Italy. As the illegitimate son of a renowned lawyer and a peasant woman, he did not enjoy the social privileges of the legitimate children in the family. However, this helped him develop independent thinking and a different way of learning. Leonardo did not follow the traditional path of studying classical languages or old-style philosophy, but learned by directly observing nature, decoding surrounding phenomena through the eyes of a researcher and a passionate explorer. Around 1467, he was sent to Florence, the vibrant cultural and artistic center of Italy at that time, to apprentice in the workshop of Andrea del Verrocchio, a master painter and talented sculptor. There, Leonardo quickly demonstrated his outstanding talent. Not only did he learn painting and sculpting techniques, but he also extensively studied other fields such as mechanics, mathematics, anatomy, and optics. What was special about Leonardo was his relentless self-study, always going beyond traditional lessons. He often drew detailed sketches of bird wings, flowing water, and other natural phenomena with accuracy and delicacy that amazed everyone. Many historians believe Leonardo surpassed his master not only in painting technique, but also in creative thinking and the ability to apply science to art. Painting works, masterpieces that endure through time. Leonardo da Vinci is the author of many world-famous paintings, but two of the most representative works are Mona Lisa and The Last Supper. These works not only reflect exquisite painting techniques, but also contain profound ideas and psychological exploration of characters, elevating art to a new level. Mona Lisa, the timeless, mysterious smile, Mona Lisa is a portrait completed around 1503 to 1506, currently displayed at the Louvre Museum, Paris. The painting is a portrait of Lisa Gherardini, the wife of a Florence merchant. However, what made the immortal fame of Mona Lisa is not only the identity of the model, but the mysterious smile and the glance that subtly hides many complex emotions. Leonardo used the sfumato technique, a delicate color blending method that softens brushstrokes and creates blurred transitions, making the details not rigid but with realistic depth. That smile is not a simple, joyful smile, but like a hidden secret, making viewers continuously question the true mood and thoughts of the subject. Beyond technique, the Mona Lisa is also a testament to Leonardo's deep study of facial anatomy, light, and human psychology. The painting represents a harmonious fusion of art and science, of objective observation and subjective perception, captivating generations of viewers. The Last Supper, emotion and history in every brushstroke. The Last Supper, completed by Leonardo in 1498 at the Santa Maria delle Grazie Monastery in Milan, is one of the most famous murals in the world. The work captures the dramatic moment when Jesus announces to his disciples that one of them will betray him. Leonardo showed remarkable finesse in portraying the emotions of each character, from shock and confusion to anger and worry. He used tight composition, lighting, and perspective to guide the viewer into feeling the tension and tragedy of this historical event. What is remarkable is that Leonardo broke the classical rules of mural painting at the time, creating a deeply vivid and narrative form of visual storytelling that made this religious story more accessible and emotionally resonant than ever before. The Notebooks, a timeless treasure of intellect. Beyond artworks, Leonardo da Vinci left behind an enormous body of manuscripts, notes, and sketches covering a wide range of fields such as anatomy, mechanics, architecture, dynamics, optics, hydraulics, and the flight of birds. His notebooks are filled with detailed drawings of the human body's structure, a testament to his elaborate anatomical studies conducted through the dissection of cadavers, a rare and bold endeavor in that era. These sketches not only helped him depict realistic human figures, but also contributed to the understanding of the human body, laying the groundwork for modern medicine. Additionally, Leonardo sketched visionary inventions ahead of his time, including designs for flying machines, tanks, mechanical bridges, clocks, and various technical devices. Although most of these inventions were not built in his lifetime, they laid the foundation for many later scientific breakthroughs. The diversity and depth of Leonardo's notes show that he was not merely an artist, but a master scientist, one who connected art with science, creative thinking with empirical research. Leonardo da Vinci and the Renaissance spirit. Leonardo was the most vivid embodiment of the Renaissance spirit, a historical period marked by the rediscovery of ancient Greek and Roman knowledge, blended with new artistic and scientific explorations. This era encouraged individuals to unlock their potential and understand the world through reason and experience. With boundless curiosity and sharp observation, Leonardo challenged outdated beliefs, continuously seeking beauty and truth in all aspects of life. He viewed art not just as aesthetic expression, but as a means to understand the essence of things and of humanity. By blending art and science, Leonardo opened a new path for the development of human culture. He inspired later generations in many fields, from painting and architecture to engineering and medicine. Legacy and influence. Although Leonardo da Vinci lived more than 500 years ago, his works and ideas remain valuable and deeply influential today. Mona Lisa and The Last Supper are not merely works of art, but global cultural icons, studied, analyzed, and admired by millions. His manuscripts and inventions have become sources of inspiration for modern scientists, engineers, and artists, demonstrating the power of imagination when combined with serious scientific research. Leonardo stands as a shining example for those who seek deep and multidimensional understanding of the world. He proved that a person can transcend all limits if they know how to combine creativity with knowledge, fueled by a relentless passion for learning and discovery. Leonardo da Vinci is not only the genius of the Renaissance, but also a symbol of holistic development, a universal man whom humanity will forever admire and take pride in. Following the image of Leonardo da Vinci, the all-rounded genius of the Renaissance, we can now overlook another exceptional figure who helped glorify this magnificent era with his iconic sculptures and paintings, Michelangelo Buonarroti. Born and raised in the same cultural and historical context as Leonardo, Michelangelo was also a true embodiment of the Renaissance spirit, but he chose the path of an artist focused on sculpture and painting, leaving behind deeply impactful and timeless works. Michelangelo, the great stone carver and divine painter. Michelangelo is known as a master sculptor, painter, and brilliant architect. His name is tied to monumental and lifelike masterpieces, especially the Sistine Chapel ceiling and the mural The Creation of Adam, the most famous painting in the world depicting the moment God gives life to man. This work is not only a religious symbol, but also a manifesto of the power of creation and the connection between the divine and humanity. The Sistine Chapel ceiling, a masterpiece of the fusion between art and spirituality. In the early 16th century, under the reign of Pope Julius II, Michelangelo was entrusted with the task of painting the Sistine Chapel ceiling, a symbolic work of the Vatican in Rome. Initially a sculptor, Michelangelo was not enthusiastic about mural painting. However, with perseverance, passion, and innate talent, he completed one of the greatest artistic achievements in human history. The ceiling spans nearly 40 meters in length and 14 meters in width, featuring over 300 vividly and delicately rendered figures that recount stories from the Old Testament, including the creation of the world, the tale of Adam and Eve, the prophets, and the patriarchs of Israel. Among them, the creation of Adam is the highlight, a moment where God stretches out his hand, nearly touching Adam's, as if transmitting life and soul to mankind. This painting is not merely a religious illustration, but also carries profound meaning about the relationship between humans and divinity, between creation and being. The strong lines, harmonious color coordination, and balanced composition reflect Michelangelo's refined artistic thinking, while also allowing the viewer to feel the power and sacredness of that moment. The Last Judgment, a return marked by spiritual depth. Years later, around 1536 to 1541, Michelangelo was invited back by Pope Clement VII and later Pope Paul III to complete The Last Judgment on the altar wall of the Sistine Chapel. This is one of the most monumental spiritual paintings, expressing a deep meditation on human destiny, eternal justice, and a warning of the apocalypse according to Christian belief. In this painting, hundreds of figures are portrayed with vivid expressions, conveying tension, hope, despair, and resurrection. Michelangelo used masterful forms and lines to create strong, lively bodies while powerfully transmitting emotion to the viewer. The Last Judgment is not just a work of art, but a symbol of the human spiritual journey, a reminder of moral choices and the consequences of actions. Through this, Michelangelo created a visual story that is both religious and deeply humanistic. Michelangelo and the Renaissance spirit, the rise of the complete human. Though Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci had different areas of focus, both embodied the ideal Renaissance man, curious, multi-talented, blending art and science, beauty and truth. While Leonardo was inclined toward exploring the mechanisms of nature, Michelangelo aimed to express human strength, physical beauty, and spiritual depth. The meticulousness in every line, the understanding of anatomy, and the ability to convey emotion were standout traits of both artists. Michelangelo not only sculpted lifelike statues such as David and Pietà, but also poured his soul into every brushstroke on the Sistine Chapel ceiling, a perfect fusion of sculpture and painting. Moreover, Michelangelo was also recognized as an outstanding architect, contributing to the design of St. Peter's Basilica, one of the world's greatest architectural works. The Renaissance spirit in him was evident through his fierce determination, relentless pursuit of perfection, and belief in the boundless creative potential of humanity. The enduring value and influence of Michelangelo's works are not merely masterpieces of art, but stand as evidence of human strength in mastering material, exploring spirit, and expressing timeless ideas. From David, a symbol of courage and free will, to the Sistine Chapel ceiling, which holds the story of creation and salvation, Michelangelo left an indelible mark on human cultural history. His influence spans centuries, inspiring artists, sculptors, painters, and architects. Beyond art, the philosophy of human strength and spiritual depth he expressed helped drive the development of Western culture and humanist thought. The fusion between physical beauty and spiritual depth in Michelangelo's work also helps us understand more about human nature, both visible and invisible, both fragile and resilient, both present and aspiring toward eternity. Thus, Michelangelo was not only the divine sculptor and painter of the Renaissance, but also a symbol of complacent art and spirituality, one who enriched and deepened the human culture that Leonardo da Vinci had initiated. Continuing the journey of exploring the artistic geniuses of the Renaissance, after Leonardo da Vinci, the symbol of completeness, and Michelangelo, the master of sculpture and vibrant painting, we now step into the dreamy and poetic world of Sandro Botticelli, the painter who portrayed mythological beauty through poetic and softly lit paintings. Sandro Botticelli, the painter of mythological and dreamy beauty. Born in 1445 in Florence, the most vibrant artistic city of Renaissance Italy, Alessandro di Mariano di Vanni Filippelli, known as Sandro Botticelli, was one of the most outstanding artists of the 15th century. He was renowned as a master in depicting mythological and religious stories with soft, delicate brushstrokes that blended dreaminess with ideal beauty. A life in art bound to Florence and the Renaissance, Botticelli grew up in a lively artistic environment when Florence was flourishing under the patronage of the Medici family, exceptional patrons of the arts. Trained in the workshop under the guidance of Fra Filippo Lippi, Botticelli quickly revealed his talent in portraying feminine, graceful, and deeply emotional figures. He was particularly noted for his ability to express the subtle nuances of facial expressions and the graceful movements of the human body, creating paintings that were both realistic and seemingly transcendent. His works often combined religious and mythological themes in harmony, bearing the strong imprint of Renaissance humanist thought. The Birth of Venus, the iconic painting of pure beauty. Botticelli's most famous painting, The Birth of Venus, completed around 1486, is one of the emblematic masterpieces of the Renaissance and Western art. The work portrays the moment the goddess of beauty, Venus, emerges from the sea, gently carried ashore by wind gods, where another goddess awaits her with a colorful floral robe. With fluid brushstrokes and gentle colors, Botticelli depicted a pure mythological femininity, while also conveying a profound message about the birth of beauty, love, and completion. The serene expression, smooth white skin, and flowing hair created an almost surreal figure transcending the boundaries of reality. The Birth of Venus is not only a painting that tells a mythological story, but also a symbol of enlightenment in humanist thought, a celebration of natural beauty and the harmony between humans, nature, and the universe. Unique style, dreamy yet grounded in reality. Unlike Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo, artists who lean toward scientific inquiry and the expression of human strength, Botticelli painted a world that was gentle, ethereal, and rich in emotion. He often used soft curves, graceful compositions, and delicate colors to create an almost otherworldly artistic space. However, beneath that dreamy surface lay meticulous study of the human form, the details of clothing, flowers, and natural settings, all treated with great subtlety to create a sense of harmony and vitality. This reflects the interplay between classical Greco-Roman spirit and the new spirit of the Renaissance. Other works such as Primavera, Spring, also clearly reflect this distinctive style, a painting full of symbols and metaphors about fertility, love, and rebirth. The precision in every detail and the abundance of mythological figures in the painting immerse the viewer in an enchanting fairy tale world. From glory to oblivion and a revival through time. Throughout his life, Botticelli was regarded as one of the leading painters of Florence and the Renaissance, supported by the Medici family and commissioned by nobles and the church. However, in his later years, as Baroque art began to gain popularity, interest in Botticelli gradually waned. He died in 1510, in relative loneliness and obscurity, little remembered by posterity. His works at that time were seen as outdated, no longer in line with the tastes of the era. However, in the 19th century, when Renaissance art was being reevaluated, Botticelli was resurrected in the hearts of the art world and the public. Critics and art historians recognize the unique value in his portrayal of mythology, his dreaminess, and the emotional depth he conveyed, placing him among the romantic painters and symbols of eternal beauty. Today, his paintings are not only masterpieces of art, but also cultural icons revered and studied around the world. Connection to the Renaissance spirit and artistic legacy. Sandro Botticelli, like Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo, was a representative figure of the Renaissance, a period in which art was not just a depiction of reality, but a medium for expressing human values, knowledge, and profound emotions. While Leonardo represented the fusion of art and science, and Michelangelo symbolized the power of form and spirituality, Botticelli embodied dreaminess, mythological beauty, and emotional subtlety. Their diverse and rich approaches to art reflect the multidimensional nature of the Renaissance individual, not merely a scientist or an artist, but a complete human being, blending intellect, emotion, and soul. Especially The Birth of Venus and Primavera continue to inspire generations of artists, poets, designers, and art lovers around the world. His paintings serve as a reminder of the essential need for beauty, gentleness, and sensitivity in modern life, elements that help balance reason and emotion, reality, and imagination. Continuing the journey from the Renaissance era with geniuses like Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, and Sandro Botticelli, we move into the modern age where we must mention Pablo Picasso, who brought a profound revolution in 20th century art and forever changed the way we perceive visual art. Pablo Picasso, the revolutionary of modern art. Born in 1881 in Malaga, Spain, Pablo Picasso was one of the most influential artists in the history of modern art. Unlike the Renaissance masters, Picasso did not attempt to recreate the world realistically or with technical sophistication, but instead challenged and broke every convention and boundary of traditional art. He was the co-founder of Cubism, an innovative art movement characterized by angular, abstract forms and multiple simultaneous perspectives. The birth of Cubism, a leap in art. The Cubist movement emerged in the early 20th century with Picasso and fellow painter Georges Braque as its central figures. Prior to this, Western art largely adhered to the rules of single-point perspective, focusing on depicting form and space as perceived by the human eye. Cubism dismantled this traditional way of seeing by fragmenting objects into multiple geometric forms, viewed from various angles simultaneously, and then reconstructing them on the canvas. This opened up a new, abstract, and profound way of representing the essence of things, not confined by appearance, but delving into the nature and complex relationships of elements. This innovation sparked a revolution in art, encouraging viewers to perceive and experience the world in a completely new, multidimensional, and unbounded manner. Les Demoiselles d'Avignon, the artwork that changed art history. In 1907, Picasso completed the painting Les Demoiselles d'Avignon, a work that marked a historical turning point in modern art. The painting depicts 5 semi-nude women with angular shapes and distorted faces, clearly influenced by primitive art and African masks. The bold geometry, deformation, and arrangement of the figures on the canvas made Les Demoiselles d'Avignon a shock and a subject of great controversy when it was unveiled. It challenged all traditional aesthetic values of beauty, proportion, and harmony. However, this audacity paved the way for the development of Cubism, marking a turning point where art was no longer a replication of reality, but a means of expressing deep ideas, emotions, and philosophies. Picasso, the tireless innovator. Unlike the artists of the Renaissance, Picasso was a relentless innovator who experimented with many different styles throughout his more than 80 years of creative life. He went through many distinct periods such as the Blue Period, Rose Period, Cubism, Surrealism. Each phase bore different imprints in emotion, content, and form. This diversity and richness in style kept him at the forefront of contemporary art movements, while also having a profound influence on various other fields of art, such as sculpture, design, and graphic arts. Picasso was also a social activist, using art to reflect the political and social issues of his time. The work Guernica stands as powerful evidence of his voice against war and violence, with striking imagery symbolizing the devastation and suffering of the Second World War. Connection between Picasso and the Renaissance masters. While Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, and Botticelli expressed perfection and the harmony between science, art, and humanism during the Renaissance, Picasso broke those boundaries, reviving art with an entirely new language: abstract, multidimensional, and profound. His creations were not a rejection of the past, but a continuation and expansion, pushing the boundaries so art could more truthfully reflect the human soul in the complex and turbulent 20th century. Like the Renaissance masters, Picasso used art to explore the essence of things, but he delved into the inner dimension of image, emotion, and idea, unbound by external form or classical rules. Legacy and tremendous influence. Picasso is regarded as one of the most influential artists of all time. His works and styles ushered in a new era for modern and contemporary art, inspiring countless artists around the world. By breaking all rules, he helped people discover new perspectives on themselves and the world, encouraging diversity, creativity, and freedom in artistic expression. Through this, Picasso was not only an outstanding creator, but also a symbol of the power of innovation and the relentless pursuit of thought, a timeless spirit connecting past and present, tradition and innovation. Rembrandt van Rijn, painter of light and shadow. Born in 1606 in Leiden, the Netherlands, Rembrandt Harmensoen van Rijn was one of the greatest painters of the Baroque period and is regarded as a master in the use of light and shadow to convey emotional depth and life stories. He was renowned not only for his masterful painting technique, but also for his ability to portray human emotion truthfully and profoundly through every brushstroke. Career and turbulent life. Rembrandt came from a middle-class family, studied painting early, and quickly revealed his innate talent. Upon moving to Amsterdam, the most vibrant center of art and commerce at the time, he quickly gained fame for his vivid portraits and deeply spiritual depictions of everyday life. However, Rembrandt's life was far from a bed of roses. He faced many personal and financial hardships, lost many loved ones, and encountered economic difficulties. Yet these struggles only deepened the emotional gravity and intensity of his works. The art of light and shadow, the legendary chiaroscuro. The distinctive feature that made Rembrandt famous was his use of chiaroscuro, the art of creating strong contrast between light and shadow. Through this, he produced vivid images full of depth and emotional realism. Light in Rembrandt's paintings was not merely a physical source of illumination, but carried spiritual meaning, like beams that shine into the soul, evoking deep emotions and complex inner states that words can hardly express. His paintings seem to be lit from within, allowing viewers not only to see the figure's appearance, but to feel their inner world: joy, sorrow, regret, hope, or profound stillness. Self-portraits, an inner journey through time. Rembrandt was one of the most renowned artists for self-portraits, with over 90 works spanning nearly his entire life. These self-portraits were not just artworks, but soul diaries that captured his transformation through the years, from youth and confidence to age, fatigue, and depth. Through every stroke, one can see self-awareness, acceptance of failure, and unwavering perseverance in the face of hardship. Rembrandt's self-portraits are lessons in patience, sincerity, and profound empathy for life. Notable works: The Jewish Bride and The Return of the Prodigal Son. Among Rembrandt's works, The Jewish Bride is considered one of the most beautiful double portraits in art history. It depicts a couple in gentle light with a subtle blend of warm colors and realistic details. The closeness and tenderness in their eyes and gestures speak of love, connection, and fidelity. The Return of the Prodigal Son, inspired by the biblical story, captures the emotional moment when the son returns to his father after a long period of estrangement and error. Rembrandt deeply portrayed fatherly love, forgiveness, and compassion through light-shadow contrast, facial expressions, and emotional gestures. This is one of the clearest demonstrations of his ability to convey inner truth and humanistic messages through art. The Baroque spirit and continuity of tradition. Rembrandt's art was associated with the Baroque style, an artistic movement marked by strong expression, using contrast and movement to create emotional impact. He developed an elevated chiaroscuro into a language for expressing soul and storytelling. Interestingly, Rembrandt did not merely inherit techniques from predecessors, but innovated and evolved them uniquely, leaving a personal mark on every piece. This blend of tradition and innovation mirrors what Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo did during the Renaissance, or Picasso in the modern era. All were pioneers, masters who transcended their time to set new standards. Rembrandt left behind a vast artistic legacy with hundreds of paintings, sketches, and etchings, deeply influencing generations of artists around the world. His technique of light and shadow remains a valuable lesson for artists in conveying emotion and depth in their works. Rembrandt's self-portraits are like a diary of the soul, reminding people of sincerity, self-awareness, and the ability to perceive life with all its ups and downs. Through works like The Jewish Bride and The Return of the Prodigal Son, he not only portrayed external beauty, but also evoked profound human values of love, forgiveness, and compassion, timeless themes that transcend culture and era. Thus, from the early footsteps of Western art during the Renaissance to the explosion of modern art, Rembrandt was the artist who expanded the expressive language of light and shadow, bringing humanity artistic experiences that are both realistic and mystical, both personal and universal. We now continue with Vincent van Gogh, a remarkable painter who transformed art into a language of intense, passionate, and truthful emotion. Vincent van Gogh, painter of intense emotion. Born in 1853 in Zundert, the Netherlands, Vincent van Gogh is one of the most profoundly influential painters in the development of modern art. His life was full of turbulence and tragedy, yet it was those intense inner experiences that shaped a unique, vibrant, and expressive artistic style that no other artist has ever fully replicated. The Paris period, a turning point in art. In 1886, Van Gogh moved to Paris, where he encountered various new art movements, particularly Impressionism and Japanese ukiyo-e prints. These influences completely changed his way of seeing and representing the world. Impressionism emphasized capturing light, color, and immediate sensations through quick, free brush strokes, while Japanese prints were notable for their simple compositions, clear lines, and bright colors. Van Gogh blended these influences into his own style, creating art that was both modern and deeply personal, a radiant, bold, and emotionally charged style. Unlike the Renaissance masters or even Picasso with his cold abstraction, Van Gogh was a painter of moods, a vibrant life bursting through every brushstroke. He used vivid colors like yellow, blue, and red, combined with thick, swirling strokes, creating paintings that seemed to move and tremble with the heartbeat of life. His bold use of color and composition brought his works to life with powerful inspiration. Scenes of the countryside, fields of sunflowers, starry skies, or humble cottages were all expressed through a distinctive language, a language of deep emotion, pain, and the desire to live. A life full of turbulence and tragedy. Van Gogh was not only an artist, but also a person full of inner turmoil. He struggled with psychological crises, loneliness, and persistent poverty. Despite his outstanding talent, he was not properly recognized during his lifetime. He often fell into unstable mental states, perhaps most famously illustrated by the ear-cutting incident, a symbol of his suffering and the complexity of his soul. Yet, it was precisely these sufferings that created the strange expressive power in his works. Each painting was not just an image, but an emotional story, like the rising and falling notes in the symphony of Van Gogh's soul. Masterpieces for eternity. Among Van Gogh's famous works, Starry Night is a symbol of the perfect blend between nature and inner emotion. The painting depicts the night scene at Saint-Rémy de Provence, with swirling lights sparkling on a dark sky, stylized mountains and trees creating a magical, dreamy, yet deeply emotional world. The painting Sunflowers is another example of vibrancy and life energy in his work. With blazing yellow flowers, Van Gogh not only painted flowers, but also conveyed enthusiasm, intense vitality, and a resilient spirit in the face of adversity. In addition, portraits, rural scenes, and smaller works such as The Purple House and Wheatfield with Crows all bear distinctive stylistic marks and unmistakable emotional depth. Van Gogh, the pioneer of expressive art. Van Gogh can be considered the trailblazer of expressionism and even modern abstraction. He dared to break through the limits of realism, not seeking perfection in technique, but going straight to the core of emotion and inner life. This contrasts but also complements the discoveries of Picasso with Cubism and Rembrandt with light and shadow. Each artist uses their own way to explore the depth of life, but for Van Gogh, emotion is both the center and the ultimate means of expression. Though living only 37 years, Van Gogh left behind a huge body of work with nearly 900 paintings and over 1,100 drawings. He not only changed how people perceive color and form, but also expanded the boundaries of what art can convey, from images to moods, from reality to spirituality. Today, Van Gogh is honored as one of the greatest artists of all time, deeply influencing many generations of painters and other art fields. His name has transcended art boundaries, becoming a symbol of passion, perseverance, and the ability to turn suffering into beauty. Thus, from the Renaissance masters combining science, art, and humanism, to modern innovators challenging traditional limits, Vincent van Gogh is the artist who placed emotion at the center, creating a new artistic language, intense, genuine, and full of vitality. Let us now turn to Claude Monet, known as the poet of light and color, the founder of the Impressionist movement, an artistic revolution that forever changed the way the world perceives and experiences painting. Claude Monet, the poet of light and color. Born in 1840 in Paris, Monet came of age during a time of social and artistic transformation. He was not only a gifted painter, but also an artist with a distinctive vision, turning painting into a profound and liberated form of visual emotion. Monet was the pioneer of the Impressionist movement, liberating art from the strict confines of tradition and ushering in a new era of expressive freedom centered around light and sensation. The birth of Impressionism. In the late 19th century, as Western painting remained heavily influenced by the rigid rules of classical and academic schools, Monet and a group of fellow pioneers, such as Renoir, Pissarro, and Sisley, chose to break free from those conventions. They focused on capturing fleeting impressions of nature, light, and color through free, flexible brushstrokes. The movement quickly drew both attention and harsh criticism, but it marked the dawn of a new era, one where art no longer had to replicate reality, but could instead express personal emotion and sensory experience. The Rouen Cathedral series, a symbol of light and time. One of Monet's most iconic projects was his series of paintings of Rouen Cathedral, a renowned Gothic structure in France. Monet spent years observing and painting the cathedral at different times of day, under constantly shifting light conditions. Each painting is a unique version, where morning light, dazzling sun, or twilight glow are rendered through subtly shifting color tones, conveying a sense of passing time and the vividness of the space. This work demonstrated not only Monet's technical mastery, but also his deep vision of the world's perpetual motion. This series was not merely an artistic project, but a study of light and color that expanded the boundaries of painting and invited viewers on an emotional, authentic journey into nature. Painting as a form of visual emotion. Monet believed that painting was not about accurately replicating images, but about expressing the artist's feelings and perceptions of the world. In his hands, each brushstroke and layer of color became like a musical note, a resonance in the symphony of light and space. He focused on direct sensations, on the fleeting play of light on water, on leaves, on flowers, or across a vast sky. Familiar scenes were brought to life with vibrant color and rhythmic harmony, creating a space full of vitality and subtlety. This approach deeply influenced later generations of artists and laid the foundation for the development of modern art, especially abstract expressionism. Monet's legacy. Monet's legacy lies not only in his celebrated works such as the Rouen Cathedral series or his paintings of the water lilies in the gardens of Giverny, but also in the way he introduced a new language to art, a language of light, color, and emotion. He was someone who inspired countless painters and art lovers around the world, helping people to perceive the world through multidimensional, vivid, and emotional lenses. Monet's name has become a symbol of creative freedom and deep sensitivity to nature. Thus, from the Renaissance masters who combined science and art to the modern innovators who broke conventions, Claude Monet brought a fresh breeze with his vision of painting as a form of visual emotion, allowing people to feel the world through the heart and through light. We now move into the inspiring story of Frida Kahlo, the resilient Mexican painter who turned pain into power and art into a voice for the self and the right to exist. Frida Kahlo, painter of pain and strength. Born in 1907 in Coyoacán, on the outskirts of Mexico City, Frida Kahlo was not only a talented artist, but also a symbol of resilience in the face of fate and of personal power expressed through art. Her life was marked by traumatic experiences, especially a severe accident at the age of 18, which forever changed her life and became an endless source of inspiration for her surreal and colorful works. The tragic accident, a fateful turning point. In 1925, while still a student, Frida was involved in a serious traffic accident when the bus she was riding collided with a tram. She suffered multiple fractures, including in her spine and pelvis, and was bedridden for a long time, tormented by persistent pain. During this period, Frida began painting as a way to release both physical and emotional pain. Painting became a means of salvation, helping her not only to maintain mental balance, but also to unlock a unique artistic creativity, rich in Mexican national identity and deeply layered with surreal meaning. Colorful national art and surreal imagery. Frida Kahlo's paintings stand out with a unique blend of the vibrant colors of Mexican culture and highly symbolic surreal imagery. She often incorporated motifs, traditional clothing, and folk symbols to connect with her roots and cultural heritage. One of her representative works is The Broken Column, in which Frida portrays herself with a cracked spine, torn flesh, and nails embedded in her skin, symbols of relentless physical pain. The painting is not only a realistic depiction of suffering, but also a symbol of inner strength and the resilience to rise above fate. Her other works also reflect emotional pain, life's losses, and struggles with identity, gender, and freedom. All are expressed through metaphorical imagery, surreal symbols, and bold yet deeply emotional strokes. No plea for pity, the voice of presence. Kahlo did not paint to beg for pity or highlight her fragility. On the contrary, she used art as a tool to claim her right to be seen, to be fully present with everything she was, a woman, an artist, a human being with wounds and extraordinary strength. Her art was a declaration of the freedom to express oneself, a refusal to be confined by societal prejudices or meaningless sympathy. Frida became a symbol of women's relentless struggle, a voice of individuality in a complex and challenging social context. Though she lived a short life, Frida died in 1954, she left behind a monumental artistic legacy and an influence that transcended the boundaries of traditional art. Her name is not only recognized in art circles, but has become a global cultural symbol, inspiring movements for feminism, diversity, and personal freedom. Museums and exhibitions of Frida's works attract millions of people who come to admire and learn about her extraordinary life and art. Stories of resilience, of art as a means of healing the soul, continue to offer invaluable lessons for every generation. Thus, from the foundations of classical Western art to the rise of modern movements and personal expression, Frida Kahlo is a vivid testament to the power of art, not only as visual beauty, but as a powerful language of the soul and individual freedom. Continuing the journey through great artistic figures, from Renaissance masters like Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, Botticelli, to modern revolutionaries like Picasso, Rembrandt with light and shadow, Van Gogh with intense emotion, Monet with dreamy light and color, and Frida Kahlo, the painter of pain and strength, we arrive at Georgia O'Keeffe, a pioneering female artist who painted the simple yet vibrant beauty of nature with a distinct, profound, and independent style. Georgia O'Keeffe, the painter of nature's simple beauty. Born in 1887 in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin, USA, Georgia O'Keeffe was one of the most important female painters in American modern art. From an early age, she had a deep connection with nature and simplicity, which profoundly influenced her lifelong artistic philosophy and style. O'Keeffe was not just a painter, but a storyteller through images, conveying the subtle values of nature and emotion in every brushstroke. A journey rooted in nature and simplicity. O'Keeffe grew up in the rural Midwest of America, where she had intimate contact with nature, flowers, the land, and the vast sky. From those experiences, she developed a profound love for simplicity and the pure beauty of the natural world. She once said, "I want to paint what I see and feel and not what I'm told to paint." This perspective reflects her independence in art, a rejection of conformity, and a pursuit of personal identity in a complicated world. Soft forms and deep colors. Unlike many of her contemporaries, O'Keeffe stood out with a style marked by soft, flowing forms and a palette of deep, refined, and sometimes vivid colors. Her paintings did not focus on intricate detail, but explored shapes and hues to evoke feelings, states of being, and meaning. One of the most prominent themes in O'Keeffe's paintings is her large-scale flowers, where petals are magnified and softened, drawing viewers into a world that is both dreamlike and profoundly intimate. Through this, she wanted the audience not only to see the shape, but also to feel the life, beauty, and mystery within. In addition, the vast desert landscapes with delicate lines, gentle light, and the earthy tones of the American Southwest were a major source of inspiration. These works express stillness, openness, and a harmonious blending of humanity and nature. Independence and relentless creativity. Georgia O'Keeffe stands as a symbol of female artistic independence in the 20th century. She carved her own artistic path, unaffected by trends or societal expectations. Throughout her life, O'Keeffe remained steadfast in her pursuit of creativity and truth in art. Even in old age, she never stopped painting and exploring new themes. O'Keeffe's creativity lay not only in her technique, but also in her deep connection with nature and the subtle, approachable way she conveyed it to viewers. Legacy and lasting influence. O'Keeffe not only helped shape the identity of American modern art, but also expanded the role of women in the arts, from muse and independent creator to cultural icon. Her name has become a source of inspiration for generations of artists and art lovers. Her works are exhibited in major museums around the world, admired not only for their aesthetic value, but also for the depth of meaning and emotion they convey. From the great masters of the past to modern innovators, Georgia O'Keeffe is proof of the power of simplicity, connection to nature, and independence in artistic creation. Through her paintings, she told a story of pure beauty and the vibrant life force of the natural world, while asserting the unique voice of a female artist. Leonardo da Vinci, the father of the Renaissance. In the history of art and science, few figures possess as many talents and as much creative brilliance as Leonardo da Vinci. He was not merely a painter, but also an inventor, scientist, engineer, anatomist, and philosopher, embodying the spirit of the Renaissance, a period that marked a magnificent revival of art, knowledge, and humanism. Early life, curiosity, and the desire to transcend. Leonardo was born on April 15th, 1452, in the village of Vinci, Tuscany, Italy, to a modest background, the illegitimate son of a local notary and a peasant woman. While such origins might have been seen as a disadvantage, they became a launching point for Leonardo's free and independent thinking. As a child, he did not receive a rigid classical education like other boys of his time. He did not study Latin or ancient Greek. Instead, Leonardo learned by observing the natural world. Animals, flowing water, the shapes of plants, light, and shadow. His boundless curiosity and relentless desire to learn were the seeds of an extraordinary life. In his teenage years, Leonardo was sent to Florence, the flourishing cultural center of the Renaissance, to apprentice in the workshop of Andrea del Verrocchio, a renowned painter and sculptor. There, he quickly mastered the techniques of the trade and soon surpassed his teacher in creativity and multi-dimensional understanding. Constantly observing and studying, Leonardo expanded the horizons of knowledge in anatomy, optics, mechanics, and many other fields. He was a pioneer in combining science with art, a mindset far ahead of his time. Masterpieces, the fusion of art and science over a career spanning more than 40 years, Leonardo left behind a vast body of work, but the most prominent are undoubtedly Mona Lisa and The Last Supper. Mona Lisa, the mystery of the smile and the sfumato technique. The portrait Mona Lisa, also known as La Gioconda, completed around 1503 to 1506, is one of the most famous paintings in the world. The model was Lisa Gherardini, the wife of a Florentine merchant, but it was her enigmatic smile that captivated generations of viewers. Leonardo employed the sfumato technique, a subtle, misty blending of colors that softens brushstrokes to create seamless gradations. Through this, her eyes and smile appear to shift depending on the viewer's angle and emotion, turning the painting into a living mystery that never grows old. Moreover, Leonardo applied his deep understanding of facial anatomy, light, and optics to craft a portrait as both realistic and psychologically profound. Mona Lisa is not merely an image, it is a story of human complexity and emotional nuance, telling stories through vivid imagery. Another timeless masterpiece is The Last Supper, a mural in the convent of Santa Maria delle Grazie in Milan, completed in 1498. Leonardo captured the moment Jesus announces that one of his disciples will betray him, with each figure displaying a distinct expression: shock, doubt, fear, resistance. The painting broke away from the rigid, symmetrical compositions typical of the time, creating instead a dynamic and complex interaction among the characters. The interplay of light and shadow, combined with the delicate portrayal of emotion, made the scene more intimate and moving than ever before. The Last Supper is not only a work of art, but also a brilliant convergence of science, spirituality, and narrative. The Notebooks, a treasure trove of timeless intellect. Leonardo left behind more than just paintings. He compiled extensive notebooks filled with insights into anatomy, mechanics, hydraulics, architecture, optics, and especially visionary inventions like flying machines, tanks, and mechanical robots. His detailed sketches laid the groundwork for many modern scientific breakthroughs. What made him truly exceptional was that he was both a serious scientist and a gifted artist. This rare combination fostered a synthetic mind that transcended his time. His notebooks, though many ideas were never realized in his own era, became a precious source of inspiration for researchers centuries later. The Renaissance spirit, a symbol of wholeness. Leonardo was the embodiment of the Renaissance spirit, in which humans were viewed not as isolated beings, but as the harmonious union of art, science, and the humanities. That spirit encouraged curiosity, creativity, and the exploration of the world with both heart and intellect. Through him, art was no longer just a replication of reality, but a means to gain a deeper understanding of the essence of things and humanity itself. Leonardo inspired future generations with his perseverance, open-minded thinking, and boundless passion for discovery. Timeless lessons. The life and legacy of Leonardo da Vinci remind us that curiosity and a passion for learning without limits are the keys to unlocking knowledge. Art and science are not separate realms, but can intertwine and support one another to create holistic creativity. Every work of art is a story, an expression of emotion and deep knowledge from its creator. Independent thinking and the courage to be different are essential for achieving greatness. Leonardo da Vinci stands as a symbol of the connection between past and future, between art and science, between reason and emotion, a complete human being whom the world will forever admire. While Leonardo da Vinci laid the foundation for the fusion of science and art, Michelangelo Buonarroti brought to the world the intensity and passion of the human body, along with divine depth in every sculpture and painting. He was not only an artist, but also a thinker, a philosopher of Renaissance art, who vividly portrayed the image of humanity transcending itself and reaching toward the eternal. The early days, a sculptor's beginning. Michelangelo was born in 1475 in Caprese, Italy, into a minor noble family with strong traditions. From an early age, he demonstrated a deep passion for art, particularly sculpture, which he regarded as the truest expression of human vitality. At the age of 13, Michelangelo studied at an art school and quickly became an outstanding pupil of masters like Bertoldo di Giovanni, who had been a student of Donatello. He was passionately devoted to learning the techniques of stone carving, studying every contour, the muscular strength, and the hidden beauty within the human form. From his earliest works, such as Madonna of the Steps and Battle of the Centaurs, Michelangelo demonstrated an extraordinary ability to capture the inner vitality of objects far beyond the conventions of his time. David, a symbol of strength and idealism. Michelangelo's most famous sculpture, David, completed in 1504, stands as a symbol of humanist spirit and the willpower of the Renaissance. Depicting the young David preparing to fight the giant Goliath, the statue not only showcases the perfect beauty of the human form, but also symbolizes courage, intelligence, and the spirit of freedom. The vivid detail, from the powerful muscles, the determined gaze, to the natural posture, makes David a timeless masterpiece that clearly expresses the philosophy of man as both vulnerable and extraordinary. The Sistine Chapel ceiling. The greatness of storytelling in art. The peak of Michelangelo's career came when Pope Julius II commissioned him to paint the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel in Vatican, Rome. The project took nearly 4 years, 1508 to 1512, and became one of the greatest masterpieces in world art. The vast ceiling was divided into multiple panels, narrating stories from the Old Testament, from the creation of the world, the fall of Adam and Eve, to the prophets and patriarchs of Israel. The pinnacle is the creation of Adam, a divine moment where God's outstretched hand nearly touches atoms, bestowing life and soul upon humanity. Michelangelo's strong, precise, and harmonious brushwork portrayed not only physical form, but also conveyed spiritual depth, the mystery, and the vastness of the cosmos. The fresco invites viewers not only to admire the art, but also to reflect on the meaning of life and the connection with the divine. The Last Judgment, a spiritual journey and final confrontation. 2 decades later, Michelangelo returned to the Sistine Chapel to paint The Last Judgment on the altar wall, completed in 1541. The painting depicts the Christian vision of the apocalypse, with humanity facing God's judgment. The work carries overwhelming emotional power, with each figure vividly rendered, expressing emotions torn between fear, hope, despair, and compassion. Michelangelo used strong bodily forms and sharp lines to convey the willpower and suffering of humanity in the face of destiny. The Last Judgment is not only a religious painting, but also a hymn to self-awareness, responsibility, and salvation through faith and action. The artist of body and soul. Unlike Leonardo's scientific curiosity, Michelangelo delved into physical expression as a gateway to spiritual depth. He placed humans at the center of the universe, celebrating the beauty of the strong body while conveying the longing to transcend oneself, the inner struggles, and the meaning of life. The fusion of sculpture and painting techniques in Michelangelo's works created extraordinary power, making his masterpieces not only works of art, but also eternal symbols of humanity. Timeless lessons and legacy. Michelangelo teaches us that art is not merely surface beauty, but a journey of self-conquest, an expression of inner strength, and a connection with the divine. He affirmed the value of perseverance, passion, and relentless pursuit of perfection in creation. Through his works, Michelangelo inspires us to realize that every individual holds the power to overcome adversity and strive toward greatness. His legacy lives on through generations, serving as an endless source of inspiration for artists and humanity, a testament to the enduring power of art that transcends all ages. Thank you for watching the entire content. Are you satisfied with the stories and insights about these artistic geniuses and the evolution of art through the ages? Please share your thoughts and feelings in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you won't miss more exciting content. And before we finish, we send you warm goodnight wishes. May you have beautiful dreams full of inspiration.